and I quote, "I'll be there in a minute. Give me a second."
Time is relative, folks. Time is relative.
Yes. So, hey, cheers to everybody in the chat. They're a division rival. I don't care how many wins they get. Screw them.
That wasn't the take I was expecting to hear.
I want to gush over watching live Chris Tanev.
I think that we completely underestimate the skill it takes to play defense.
One highlight or several highlights does not a Calder trophy make.
I'm stepping in here. I'm going to be the crotchety old man here. They need to learn patience. They need to understand the tension, everything, and the drama.
How dare! Look at this. How is McDavid not getting a penalty?
You guys need to calm down with this, okay? You guys need to calm down with it.
Well, hello, and welcome to the Shifts and Pucks News Pack for Monday, February the 13th. It's Monday the 13th. You can follow us on Twitter at Shifts and Pucks, Facebook.com Shifts and Pucks, YouTube.com Shifts and Pucks, Twitch.com Shifts and Pucks. Subscribe wherever you get your audio, as well as on the Area 51 Sports Network. Flames game day tonight. They face the Ottawa Senators. Canucks game day tonight. They face the Detroit Red Wings a little later, so we'll get into those games here in a moment. As the Flames come off a impressive 7-2 win over the Buffalo Sabres on Saturday, Jacob Pelche gets his first ever goal in the National Hockey League. Dennis Gilbert, in front of friends and families, gets his first goal as a Calgary Flame, second of his NHL career, and thought they looked a little flat after the first period, down 2-0 to the Sabres, but they worked their way back to score 7 straight and win the game. Dylan Dubé has a 4-point night. As mentioned, Gilbert, Pelche, Elias Lindholm has a great night. That line of Kadri, Huberdeau, and Pelche connect as well. Nice to see the Flames have 3 lines going, and nice to see the Flames get that victory here over the Sabres as they move into Ottawa. Looking at the lineups here, and for the Flames, of course, in terms of standings as well, and we'll get that set up as well as we'll get into that. We've got some other news going on, as well as another player has been scratched for trade reasons for the second consecutive game, as we're awaiting some news on that as well. But the Flames, they'll come into this game in Ottawa tonight, which is part of the Monday Night Hockey package. They are still out of a playoff spot at 60 points, 25, 18, and 10, and tied with Minnesota for 60 points. And Colorado is at 60 points as well. So those 3 teams are tied for the third place for Colorado, Minnesota in the Central Division, and the second wild card spot. The Flames are currently 5 points behind the combination of Seattle, Edmonton, and Los Angeles, and 8 points behind Vegas. By the way, Fireside Chat has posted a poll of what the Flames should do in the trade deadline. Our partners with the Flames, of course, buy, sell, or stand pat. Check that out on Fireside Chat as well to do that now. But the Flames will come in. That's where the Flames come in here. They also got a really good, impressive performance from Jacob Markstrom, and they gave Markstrom some goal support. But looking at the lineup, looks like Dan Vladar is going to get the call in goal. Of course, Rasmus Anderson continues to be injured, and it looks like Adam Ruzicka may replace Brett Ritchie back in the lineup. But it looks like it's Kadri, Pelche, and Huberdeau, Lindholm, Dubé, Toffoli, Backlund, Mangiapane, Coleman. And then you got Ruzicka, Lucic, and Lewis. And then the defense sorry about that, Hanifin, Tanev, Zadorov, Weir, Gilbert, and Stone. For the Senators, they are sitting in the third last position in the wild card spot, 10 points behind the Penguins at 24, 24, and 3. And they will have Tim Stützle, Brady Tkachuk, and Matthew Joseph, Ridley Gregg, Alex DeBrincat, and Claude Giroux, Shane Pinto, Tyler Mott, Drake Batherson, Derek Brassard, Parker Cully, Austin Watson. And on defense, Thomas Chabot, Nikita Zaitsev, Artem Zub, and Eric Branson, Travis Hamonic with Nick Holden, and Mads Sogard will get the call in goal for the Ottawa Senators. Of course, they're coming off that 6-3 loss to the Edmonton Oilers on Saturday, where Anton Forsberg had an injury, was taken stretchered off. Looks like he is out 2 to 3 months. Unfortunately, he is 22 years old, Sogard, and this will be his just his second ever NHL hockey game. And his first ever start. Made 3 saves against the Oilers. It was a second-round pick in the 2019 draft. So some expectations, when you're a second-round pick. Hopefully something turns out, but that's where we are at with the Ottawa Senators here at this point. Probably, I think the expectations for the Ottawa Senators this year were not met. I think that it's fair to say that I think there's a bit of a disappointment there. There's a number of injuries. You got Josh Norris out. You got Cam Talbot, who they made an acquisition for. And on the offseason, Anton Forsberg, we talked about as well, and Jake Sanderson, as well. So that is the Flames and the Senators coming in there as the Flames wrap up their road trip, come home for the rest of the week, and of course they will play the play the Red Wings Thursday, so they'll have 2 days off, and then the Rangers Flames play on Saturday. I had a much anticipated rematch of that game last Monday. As far as the Canucks, they're at home after their road trip, and they face the Detroit Red Wings, who beat them on Saturday as well. Saturday, so the Red Wings win that one 5-2. Spencer Martin couldn't stop the first 2 shots. The Canucks were chasing the game, and that's pretty much it. And the news roster news out of the Canucks camp, on top of all the trade speculation with Luke Schenn, with Tyler Myers, etc. And of course, some people think that there are reports that the Luke Schenn trade could happen sometime soon. One of the teams involved apparently is Calgary, according to some reports. We'll see what happens there. But for Spencer Martin, he has lost his last 10 games, and he's been placed on waivers. He will back up tonight, Colin Delia. But it looks like Demko is slowly but surely getting there. He is looking like he's returning. I still think it sounds like he needs some work as well. According to David Quadrelli and Canucks Army, it looks like, and Chris Faber tweeted this as well, Arthur Silas might be getting the call up tomorrow from Abbotsford. So that we'll have to see when Demko will play again. He hasn't played since December 1st. And Demko's been out for a while. It was thought to be a 6-week injury. It's turned out to be over 2 months. So we'll see what happens on when Thatcher Demko comes back and when he plays. But Detroit coming in, so the Canucks coming in 20, we'll look at them first, 21, 28, and 4. They are currently 14 points out of the playoff spot. And of course, tank for Bedard is the idea for some Canuck fans for that. But they will have Pedersen, Beauvillier, and Besser, Miller, Podkolzin, and Garland, Dries, Joshua Kuzmenko, Aman, Giuseppe, and Lazar are the speculated lines. No no morning skate, though, for the Canucks. But certainly one of the things that Rick Tocchet has talked about is the conditioning and of the Canucks and not being impressed with that. I talked about that yesterday. So We will see there on defense. Quinn Hughes, Ethan Bear, Tyler Myers, Oliver Ekman-Larsson, Riley Stillman, Luke Shin are the expected pair, with Colin Delia being the starter. Jack Studnicka scratch. Kyle Burrows is expected to be scratched. We'll see what happens with Studnicka on this homestand. He has sent home for illness. Red Wings, of course, they're in sell mode as well, with questions about first line one, Larkin, Bertuzzi, and Kubalik. Larkin could be a trade target in here as we approach a trade deadline. Tyler Bertuzzi's name has come up as well, although there's some complications with Bertuzzi and being part of this because Bertuzzi has yet to be vaccinated. So there's some Canadian teams that will find this very complicated. So we'll see what happens there. You've got Andrew Kopp, Michael Rasmus, and David Perron. Pia Suter, Philip Zadina, Oscar Sundquist, Joe Valino, Jonathan Berggren, and Robbie Fabry. And then you got Oli Mattawut, Maurice Sider, Philip Ronick, Ben Sherratt, Jordan Osterley, and Robert Haig, with Villiet Husso looking like he's going to be the starting goaltender. Lucas Raymond, unfortunately injured. I think he's his top star in the league. Matt Luff, Mark Pissick, Jake Wallman as well. Just back to Bertuzzi for a second. There is some paperwork and some complications in terms of when he can play in Canada and not. Just from my readings, what some people are saying, some teams are finding that very complicated. I don't want to get into it because I don't know exactly how it works, but it sounds like in terms of this vaccination status, that causes a lot of other questions. 3 other games in the National Hockey League tonight, and we'll go here. The Arizona Coyotes, and they have scratched Jacob Chychrun again for trade reasons. Lots of speculation about which trade it is. Reports this weekend where it was LA. Some other teams are saying not. So I guess my stand is whoever he's traded to is where he was traded to. But Yusuf Valimaki had 3 assists in their last game this weekend. So you've got that. That's one thing. He's starting to step up. The Coyotes, they came away with They here on the 6-5 loss to St. Louis. Fun little game there, but that's where the Coyotes are at. Some are saying Karl Varmanka is involved in the trade as well. So, but he is not being scratched. Chychrun is. So you would have to think that this will be happening soon. I don't think the NHL is going to look too highly on scratching someone for trade reasons if this drags out. But the Karl Varmanka is getting the call in goal. Kevin Lankinen getting the call for the Nashville Predators. And the Predators are currently 4 points out of the Western Conference second wild card spot in the playoffs. So big game for them. The Florida Panthers taking on the Minnesota Wild, who we've mentioned the Wild are tied for the Flames for that wild card spot. Sergei Bobrovsky will be in goal for Florida. They are currently 3 points out of a playoff spot, sitting at 26, 23, and 6. And of course, Minnesota is going to Philip Gustafsson in goal. The Wild had a pretty fun game on Saturday as well when they won in a shootout over the New Jersey Devils as well. And then we've also got the Buffalo Sabres, which looks like Craig Anderson will get the call and goal taken on the LA Kings, who are mentioned in third place, right? The first wild card spot. Phoenix Copley getting the call in goal for the Kings. Craig Anderson for the Sabres. The 3 stars of the week we'll get to injuries here as well. Some other injury news, but Artemi Panarin, who got his pal Vladimir Tarasenko last week, is leading the 3 stars of the week. He had 9 points, 4 goals, 5 assists, 9 points in 4 games. 2 assists against the Flames on Monday. 1 helper against the Canucks on the 8th, on February 8th, Wednesday, and as well as an assist against the Kraken, a 6-3 win over them. And a 4-goal night against the Carolina Hurricanes on February the 11th. So Artemi Panarin, 1st star. Erik Karlsson, whose name has also been linked to some trade talk with the Edmonton Oilers. And it sounds, according to Chris Johnson, that discussion heated up. According to some others, the speculation is the Oilers the Sharks would have to eat some salary to make this trade work, up to $4 million for the next 4 years. So a lot of Oiler reporters I'm seeing is speculating that this won't happen, but he had 7 points and 3 outings, 3 assists against the Lightning, or 3 points, goal, and 2 assists against the Lightning February 7th. 1 assist against the Florida Panthers, which said he is the fastest blue liner to get to 70 points since Paul Coffey in '89. And then his 8th 3-point performance in a 4-1 victory over the Washington Capitals yesterday, February 12th. So Erik Karlsson, the 2nd star, and Clayton Keller is the 3rd star. He had 7 points in 3 games, 4 out of a possible 6 points for the Coyotes. 1 assist against the Wild on February the 6th. Back-to-back 3-point performances. He had a goal and 2 assists against the Blackhawks on February 10th, and 2 goals and 1 assist against the Blues on February the 11th. So the 3 stars are Artemi Panarin, number 1, Erik Karlsson, number 2, and Clayton Keller, number 3. In terms of injury news, here we've got another Forsberg was injured, and we talked about Anton Forsberg. Philip Forsberg is out. He sustained an upper body injury on Saturday by a hit from Rasmus Ristolainen, but it sounds like it won't be too long. John Hayes says he's injured, but it's nice to see him up and around and moving, so maybe it's not as serious as originally looked at. Anthony Duclair, who some have targeted as a Flames possible Flames acquisition, full participant in practice. He first time he's been on the ice since repairing an Achilles tendon injury since on July 2nd. Now, just from my perspective, I think that there's a pro. Would be a shrewd pickup. Con, are you adding someone in the lineup that hasn't played since July 2nd and expecting something from him? Don't know. Not sure how I feel about that from the Flames' perspective. Duclair had 31 goals, 27 assists, and 58 points last year. Of course, he has been skating in a no-contact jersey since mid-January. He's unlikely to play on this road trip. Next home game is February 20th, so we'll see where he's at. I'm just not entirely convinced that this is just a good acquisition for the Flames, but we'll see what happens. Jake DeBrusk, after more than a month, is nearing a return. Hand and lower body injury. He hasn't played since the Winter Classic on January 2nd. Jim Montgomery said doubtful for tomorrow, probable for Thursday. And Cale Makar is missing his 3rd straight game with an upper body injury as the Avalanche host Lightning tomorrow. He hasn't played since February 7th. Eric Johnson and Pavel Francouz is also out. No timetable for their return. In the WHL, here we'll go to them next, as the story is out of Moose Jaw, as 4 players have been suspended and for conduct issues and indefinitely. This was posted on Saturday. It's goaltender Connor Unger, defenseman Max Wanner, forward Lyndon Lakovich, and defenseman Merrick Howell, all suspended indefinitely. and as pending investigation into possible violation of team rules and the WHL standard of conduct policies. The policies do include racial and derogatory comments, abuse, bullying, harassment, hazing, social media, and networking, personal conduct, as well as diversity. In conclusion, they were not present for the game against Regina Saturday. They lost 8-4, and the Warriors at this point have declined to comment at this particular point in time. Katie Strang did post a tweet about this today here as well. And so, there's probably people and speculation about what exactly is going on. I don't know what that is. And but regarding this is a strange tweet earlier this morning regarding the suspension of 4 players from the Moose Jaw Warriors of the WHL. Moose Jaw police spokesman confirms they have been made aware of a situation involving players with the team, but cannot comment further at this time. So that's where we're at that point with the WHL. The 3 stars of the week. We haven't been able to do this as much as we'd like to, but Chase Wheatcroft is the number 1 star, the player of the week, in the WHL. Chase Wheatcroft, 11 points, 4 games. Here, 4 goals, 7 assists. He led the league in that and in points in the week, and that's for the Prince George Cougars. And Thomas Milich, 2 games, 0.50 goals against average, .984 save percentage for the Seattle Thunderbirds, pardon me. No games tonight, 3 games tomorrow in the AHL, or in the WHL. We'll touch on that tomorrow. As far as the AHL goes, we will look at what's going on there. The player of the week is from the Providence Bruins. He is the player of the week. His name is Georgi Merkulov. He tallied 3 goals and 2 assists and 5 points in 2 games. The Providence Bruins are now in first place in the Atlantic Division. He led the Providence with a late game tying goal and a second and third point of the night in a win over the Wilkes-Barre Scranton in a home set. And then Merkulov scored the head goal with 6:09 to play with an assist for the Bruins 3-1 win over the Red Wings. 6 goals in a 5-game winning streak for Merkulov for the Providence. So that he is the player of the week. In terms of games, 1 game tonight, and it is in Toronto. It's the Minnesota Moose taking on the Toronto Marlies. And of course, the Abbotsford and Calgary play tomorrow, Valentine's Day, at the Saddle Dome. And so it'll be interesting from the Abbotsford Canucks perspective, who is playing in goal. Here, of course, we talked a little bit about Archer Seelhaus possibly getting called up earlier there for the Canucks, so we'll see about that. But that will be the news for today. Of course, Monday, February 13th. You can also follow us individually on Twitter. Sean Beardy Canuck 03, Tyler TNOBLE, Christian Schneids SCHNEIDZ, Devin Gordhow 09. I am KEVOLE. Shifts and Pucks, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch. Subscribe wherever you get your audio, as well as on the Area 51 Sports Network. Don't forget to check out Fireside Chat as well. Their Fireside podcast. Their Flames podcast, of course, is out now on all podcast platforms. But yes, mentioned that will be the news. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. We will talk to you very soon. Bye for now.